Of course, I was dancing. Welcome to the show with Retro Nerd Girl, and I'm broadcasting live from the International Science Fiction Space Station. And we have further analysis and deep dive of Gargoyles. This is our week 13. Guys, this is going to be really great because we have some really fantastic episodes coming up. And before we get started, I wanted to say hi to Amy Jo. Hello. Amy Jo has been hanging out in the chat for a while now and is just like hyped up and everything. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much for being here and just being our hype person in the chat. Really love it. And you were explaining all the things that were happening on the channel. Really appreciate you. And Moonbeam is here. Says, hey, AJ and Retro and Mama Bear. So good to see you, Moonbeam. Thank you so much, Moonbeam. I wanted to tell you a special thank you for coming in clutch so many times this in the last couple of streams. You've been just sort of the information point to person. If I'm getting something wrong, I'm just, Moonbeam, where are you? I need you. And there you are with the answer. So I really appreciate that so much. You guys are just so wonderful. And let's see. We've got oh my goodness, Sin Havoc is in the house. Thank you for all of the hearts and everything. It's so great to see you here. And I think Mama Bear said that she was going to try to make it, but I haven't seen her. So maybe she'll pop in a little bit later. She's got a busy schedule now that she's doing so many new like she's doing some channels, and it's just like she yeah, she's busy now. So yes, and I know why, because she's fabulous. And oh, thank you, Amy Jo says we love you so much. Thank you so much. It right back at you. I really think that you guys are so incredible. You really are. And let's see. Moonbeam says a lot has happened in 8 years. That's right. We are twinsies when it comes to starting our channels. And so this is our 8th year, and so congrats to us. There's going to be a big video coming up about that. So hopefully I will be posting that soon. So guys, without further ado, let's get right into the video. It's really good. So I will be showing it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right. We are back with week 13. And we're going to be going over Gargoyles, the series. This is the 2nd season. The first one that's up is The Eye of the Storm. Eye of the Storm, number 36.
I love this one. This comes from my family's background.
Oh.
Because my dad is from Holland. We date back to the Vikings, so there was always that fascination with the Norse culture for me. And for this, I don't know if it's technically a spoiler, that it does heavily focus on Norse mythology for this one.
Yes. It is. Well, on the previously on, they kind of hint at it. They say they show us all of the events of the Eye of Odin, and its effect on the series in general, and then it has like the last little thing that it shows you is Goliath's oath to keep it from being used again, which is kind of funny when you look at you think of this story.
Oh, I love it. I don't know if it was you, but if it was you too. But when I heard him say, I vow never to make sure that the Phoenix Gate and the Eye of Odin never get used again. I'm like, that turned out well previously.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, well, and you guys will soon find out why. So the first thing, the clan arrives on Norway, and they meet an old man who has only one eye, and which should be a tip off right away. Like,
Right?
okay, this
Only
guy's got
one eye and a
one eye.
fabulous cloak.
I know, it's just beautiful, and I guess that's the motif, and that of Odin is that with black with stars on it, is what I'm thinking, because that's something that was carried through this entire storyline. And he offers a coat for Elisa because she is freezing to death, while the gargoyles, they may be mildly cold, but it's not really affecting them that much. And
The fact he
and
pulls the coat out of nowhere.
yes, it's like, yes,
Like
here's
he
this
just reaches in
huge.
his cloak and pulls out this big coat, and it doesn't even faze them.
Yeah, they're like, okay, we've seen a lot of weird things. They don't really, it doesn't
Yeah.
register, but he offers it in trade for the Eye of Odin. And that they were like, what? No. And even Elisa was like, that's too dangerous to be in anyone's hands. So they refuse. And then he says that they will live to regret that decision. And
You will
so
live to
that
regret
was,
this, but she may not.
yes. And I was like, wait a okay. What did you think of this exchange in particular at this point?
It's the I'm going to throw a Harry Potter reference in here. It's the Ravenclaw in me, I guess. The fact it took so long for them, like, because Goliath asks this as Odin's walking away. He goes, "Wait, who are you?" And even after the guy has left, Elise is like, "I wonder how we knew you had the eye." I'm like, why
Yeah.
didn't you guys ask these questions when he was here?
I
Could
know.
have
I
saved a
mean,
whole lot of headache. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
and
Who are you and how do you know we have that?
that was sort of like, it's like, oh, who's this? He knows all about them. And also he was kind of like very vague himself. He did not have communication skills, if you will. And it was so we're dealing with like two stubborn people, and perhaps they may be good, but you just don't know. So the next thing really that happens is that Lisa is really getting super super cold, and there's a whole action sequence with a man and his son, Eric and Gunta. They're in a car, and I don't know how would you describe this road? It was just like some sort of hilly road on a cliff.
I don't know if these actually exist in Norway, but never been there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just something right out of like the Doctor Strange movie where it's
Yeah.
this one maybe two lane, like more like 1.5 cars with road hanging off the edge of a cliff.
Hmm.
No barriers, nothing like that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Covered in snow and ice, and even with the chained tires, he's still driving faster than I feel comfortable.
That's true. That's true. And then they see Bronx sort of rush by really quickly. And so in order to stop from hitting Bronx, he swerves, and it ends up kind of almost taking him off the cliff.
Mhm.
But of course, Goliath saves them, and it's kind of a weird moment because they caused the accident to happen, and they save them. But it's just like, but when he gets out, they don't see Goliath. They see like a shadow of him, but they don't see him. What they do see, though, is Elisa comes out, and she's like, "Oh, I'm cold," and they actually offer to take her in. They actually take her to their home, which is really
And
pretty cool.
credit to the dad, because she's standing there freezing. He like, doesn't even have the blanket around her yet, and she's striking up a conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, let's get you in the car where it's warm. And I noticed this on the second watch because admittedly I watched part of this last week just out of confusion.
Yes, yes, yes.
I caught it on the second watch. She is sprawled all the way across the back seat of the car in a very, rogue X-Men 90s X-Men pose. And I had to laugh about it because that whole rogue thing is fresh right now.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I didn't even notice that. I did not notice
I didn't
that.
notice I didn't notice it like originally either. And even when I first watched it all the way back, I didn't catch it. And I was watching X-Men at the same time.
Oh, man. These guys, they're really astute. She's telling them a whole bunch of lies, and I think she tells them that she was hiking, and they were
Mhm.
like, "Where's your hiking gear?" You know.
It's like doesn't make sense, Dad. How would she get all the way out hiking and not dressed without hiking gear?
Yeah.
Like, they actually showed it, side people with brains. I like this.
Yeah, this is definitely what I do adore about the writing here is that they think of these little things like usually it's like, oh, these guys are just gonna be here for this episode, no big deal, they don't have to be included in the story. But no, they actually are curious about this person that they found, like, who is she?
Goliath and Angela, they get ambushed by this one-eyed polar bear. Credit to Goliath, he caught on this time that the bear had one eye.
Yeah, I mean, that was another thing that came to me, but I'm glad that he caught on to that the polar bear, the polar bear was
Progress.
and when he actually manages to get the pouch in his in his clutches, but Goliath manages to get it away from him and also defeat him, but he also just disappears.
He kicks the polar bear and it rolls down this hill into a lake and just gone.
Yeah.
Like, how deep is this lake?
Yeah. And then now we get the wall crashing in when Odin is like, you know what? I'm tired of these disguises. Let's just go. Let's go after what we want. So he crashes through the house
Yeah,
and
comes in Kool-Aid Man style. Oh yeah.
yes. Odin.
Before you get too deep, I do have one issue with this, and it bugged me originally. And okay, because we see Odin here on
Okay.
his steed Sleipnir.
Yeah.
Sleipnir's supposed to have 6 legs.
Oh.
Yeah, he doesn't have enough legs. Not a deal breaker for me, but it's just one of those finicky detail things.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. I've never seen that. Okay, so I
It's
will
either
have
6
to.
or 8. I'm drawing a blank, and I might be 8.
Okay. That would have been cool to see.
Yeah,
Yeah, so he actually gets her and then he let's see.
because she runs off. She's like, "Well, try to catch me." He's on a horse.
And he's a god.
Still, you're not. I don't care how strong, how good your cop training is. You're not going to outrun a horse,
Yeah. And I was
especially a mythological horse.
yeah. Who was supposed to have 8 legs, but
Yeah.
only has 4. And I thought she was gonna swerve and dip and do something really creative. She did not. He catches her almost immediately. It's part of his plan. He's like, okay, if he has Elisa, he can bargain her for his eye back. And Goliath is like, okay, what's going on? He puts on the eye. And I was like, no, Goliath, don't do it.
When he finds out, like, Odin is my enemy, did anyone stop and think to actually have a proper conversation?
Yeah, yeah. And that's kind of the whole thing of this is that Goliath as lovable and sweet as he can be, there is a shadow part to all of that where he's really stubborn and also a little bit short-sighted. So in this case, he puts on the eye, and then he gets a huge upgrade and turns into sort of
Like,
a god almost.
like
And
literally, he's like 9 feet tall to start with.
yeah, yeah.
I know it's somewhere around there. He's like 8 to 9 feet tall to start with, and he like doubles in size.
Oh yeah. He's huge. And his wings also have that black and starry motif. And I was like, wow, okay, that must be something to do with Odin. And he actually gets Elisa and he defeats Odin temporarily,
Mhm,
because Odin is a god, but he seemed to be getting like some of Odin's power. And it's really kind of weird because he says, one of the things he says that really struck a chord with me was that he said that the eye of Odin is now his,
mhm.
and he claims it. He really like claims it. What did you think when he said that? And when he said that it's now his now. He
Just everything he was going on when in that, I don't want to say fight because that was after the fight,
Mhm.
but the discourse between him and Odin. Yeah,
Yeah.
the eye is now mine, and if I'm not going to let you terrorize these people anymore. Eh, If I will won't be as lenient this next time, old man. And none of that
Sounds like it.
typical is typical for Goliath.
Yeah.
I
He
mean, he
does.
he reveres the elderly.
Yeah, yeah. He never talked like that before. Everything is just so strange and unusual with him. But at the same time, I was kind of also happy for him for getting to the upgrade because he just seemed to be enjoying being so powerful. He really loved it. I mean,
There 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 was one point, I was happy for him with the upgrade,
yeah.
and which I'm sure we're going to get to, like, in a second, or because of the one of the side effects of the eye for him.
Oh, yes, 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 we
Yes.
can talk about that. You wanna do the honors
Yeah,
and describe that?
absolutely. Because when they get down, they are in the process of getting the father and son, Elisa and Angela and Bronx, to this cave, and they
Mhm,
have to pull aside along the way because, it's gonna be sunrise, right?
mhm, yep,
Or this happens just before they decide to go off to the cave, getting my mental bearings. When sunrise happens, so Angela and Bronx automatically turn, and you can hear
yeah.
'em as Angela and Bronx are starting to turn saying about how he's always dreamed of feeling the how did he say it? The sun's golden warmth or something like
Mm,
that.
yeah,
It was something
yeah,
very poetic.
it was, yeah, it was. I forgot
So
exactly what it was.
he's now immune to the sun's powers.
Yeah, yeah, and, I mean, I think we danced around this in some other episodes, but this is the first time we get that moment of, like, not being affected by sunlight and what that must be like for them to have that weakness, of having to turn to stone every morning, stop them from like, protecting and doing the things that they need to do for their, the places that they're protecting. And also we have someone like Demona who's also like can move around in daytime, and that's connected to a spell, but it is something that they all kind of really secretly want, the ability to walk around during the daylight, and I thought that was really cool. I was super happy for him. I was kind of dubious about it, but I was also happy for him in that regard. But there's something going on. There's a storm that's coming, and so they have to go to that cave before the storm comes. And during this whole process, Angela notices that Goliath is the one that's creating the storms.
Mhm.
So that she's like, "What is going on?" He's the one that's creating the storm. She actually confronts him about this, and he says that he's protecting everyone. He's trying to keep them safe, but he's doing it in the wrong way. He's actually imprisoning them and keeping them from, being free, just so that way he can have control over the situation, and psychologically manipulating them by doing this. This is all stuff that Goliath himself would never do. And so we can assume at this point that that is not Goliath anymore. It's some other kind of creature.
He's definitely been influenced, or his mind is being warped by the influence of the eye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's taking him well beyond his normal role. And again, we've seen this previously with the Archmage, and especially with Fox.
Yes. Yeah, but Fox just turned into a completely different animal species.
But it really got the impression that she was aware of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There was a slight awareness of it, I think. This is really interesting stuff, because this eye, he now wants to keep it. He wants to destroy Odin so that way he can keep the eye. And he doesn't say that Odin is evil or he wants to protect the world. He just wants the eye right now. So it's changed him into someone who's obsessed by greed. Odin arrives, and during the fight, Odin makes the most sense in the whole battle. There's like a huge battle between them. And he said that he guided them to the island to get back something that belonged to him. So that the whole thing of them even arriving at the island was so that way he could, get his eye back.
Mm.
Well, okay, one thing that we learned in the fight is that Goliath is actually absorbing his powers and is making him weaker at the same time. At one point, he almost takes almost all of his power, and he gives out this really super evil laugh. It's just wonderful. So he's gone pretty much totally evil and is about to kill Odin over power. And with Odin's last little bit of magic, he frees Angela, Bronx, Elisa, Eric, and Gunther out of the cave. Just enough time for Elisa, Bronx, and Angela to stop or try to stop Goliath. But Goliath actually is so gone from this. He's pissed off that they
Dare you disobey me? You.
Yeah, he's just like, oh my God, he totally went bonkers. He's mad at them. So one thing he says is that he says he's withdrawing his protection over them, and that the whole thing he's replaced it with his wrath, or now they will deal with his wrath. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. He actually tries to kill them.
Yeah.
Elisa and his daughter, and and Bronx, he tries to kill them. And it was really, really sad, because it was like, oh, I mean, he's totally gone. And the last moment when you just think that he's gone, Angela,
he shoves them into a fissure.
Yeah. Which opens and closes, and it's like I mean, how awful. They were gonna get squished, and so everybody comes out except for Angela, and Angela's
Lisa's like, grab my hand, and Angela's like, and goes, Father, help.
She knew exactly what to do, and it was just what was needed to snap him out of it. And he finally realized exactly what was going on. Yeah, whew, that was a close one. I was like, no, not our precious Goliath. We were don't say it's not so.
Yeah,
I mean, he was evil. He was evil.
it knocks sense into him, and he rips the thing off himself.
Yeah, yeah. It was great, and of course, in Goliath fashion, ah! Everything is really big with him,
Mhm.
and Odin gets his eye back. It was wonderful for him to have his eye back, and
And
what I loved
nothing
is that
happened.
yeah, nothing bad happened. He didn't smite them. He was very chill, and he even apologized. And Goliath apologized to him
Uh,
as well. It was wonderful.
yeah, he admits it's been a long time since he's talked to, mortal people, as he puts it.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I was like, oh, okay. At the end, we get
Like,
that
yeah,
little.
I could have handled this better, and Gloss like, yeah, I could have too.
I almost killed my my people.
And Odin says, well, then we've both gained enlightenment, which is the gift of the eye.
Oh,
I love that, because if you look back on it, it does kind of make sense.
yeah. It
I don't
it
know
teaches
exactly what
them
enlightenment Fox got, but um
that she's an animal. You animal.
or that Xanatos really does love her. I don't know. But
Ooh.
they have this nice exchange. But the reason why it didn't affect him, because it's his eye.
Yeah.
That is that is God's abilities.
Mhm. And
Like
it's really
God level
good
abilities.
looking once he got his eye back too.
That's not meant for mortal men.
Yeah, yeah. And that is also that's so important that you said that, because, it's perfectly fine on him because it's his eye,
Mhm.
and it's in its rightful place, and now we don't have to worry about the eye of Odin. I mean, there's probably a delicious story on how he lost it in the first place.
That
Um,
is part of Norse mythology.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. Wonderful.
Like, he
Um,
gives up his eye in order to learn how to see the future and learn magic.
oh, okay.
Mhm.
Nice. Okay. So, well, he takes off on the Rainbow Bridge, and
Yes, the
that's
Bifrost Bridge.
yeah, yeah. Look at it, and I love this part. It's just like, oh, this is so nice. All right, we have the new Olympians. This is a good one. Previously
This
on,
Yeah, this was definitely a fun one. A lot of very familiar voices in this, and of course we get Michael Dorn back, who
hmm
we know in the show as Cold Stone,
hmm
but he does voice Taurus.
yeah, Taurus. Very nice character.
Mhm.
Very honorable character. On the previously on, we go. It shows us how terribly Catherine treated the gargoyles, and how 1,000 years later, even the people in New York still kind of treat the gargoyles and fear them. And
Mhm.
so, this sort of persecution of creatures that are not like humans is sort of a theme that goes on in the stories, the story that we're about to take a look at.
Mhm.
And so the first thing, Avalon takes them through a sparkling mist, which I thought was really cool. I was like, "Ooh, let's hang out in there for a little bit."
Yeah, we're gonna ram it. Yeah, it's a sparkly fog. It's glitter fog.
I like that.
And the fact that you have a
And
show Goliath trying to catch one.
it's like, "What's going on here?" He's so cute. He is really adorable. And, they, go to New Olympus, actually, the land of gods almost. And, there's so many different creatures familiar to Greek mythology,
Yeah,
in this particular place. Not the exact ones, but they're kind of like,
descendants of them.
generations.
Yeah.
And they also have future technology. So they have like things like flying cars and things like that, which is really cool.
I had the impression, and I'm trying to remember if this is accurate or not, but watching it again, I had the impression that this was intended as a potential for a spin-off series.
Ooh.
I would
I
have
want it.
I'd have to look it up, but especially at the end, I really got the impression that this was intended as a spin-off. Yeah, sorry.
There was that like sense like, oh, there's more to this story for sure.
Mhm.
So as soon as Elisa gets there, they're like, oh, human, let's get her. They want to
Yeah,
put her in jail.
they were in their equivalent of cuffs.
It's really kind of crazy because they're just trying to figure out what to do with her. Some people want her to die, some people want her in jail. They want her to pay for all of the sins of other humans that have done things to them nearly 2,000 years ago, because they've been secluded for that about that long.
Yeah, they take her and the gargoyles to this place so she can be put on trial
Yeah.
from Boreas.
Oh yeah. When we got to this part, what did you think they were going to do with her? What did you think the worst was going to be?
You know, when why is it so many cartoons they always have them cuffed up exactly like this on a hoverboard? I have seen this over and over again, like DC, all of that. I don't get it. But yeah, in this case, it really was. There was not going to be oh, well, you're a good person. Okay, cool. We believe you. No.
Yeah. I mean, I thought for sure that they were gonna sentence her to like death or something, or imprisonment for life. And in a way they did, but they were really looking to have someone pay for the pain that they had gone through, and it was definitely something where they wanted revenge. Now, Boreas, the leader, says that he believes that she will do them no harm, but he can't trust that she won't reveal the secret of their location or that they exist. And so he sentences her to stay on the island as their guest for the rest of her life. And there was a moment where I think she was like, "Well, it's kind of nice here."
Yeah, they were wandering around, and she's like, "You know what? If we're gonna be here, I'm gonna be here for
Yes.
we might as well look around while we're here." And like, did you miss what Boreas said? But one thing I wanted to mention, because as soon as Boreas walks out, gorgeous.
Hmm.
You know, I'm a sucker for wings. I can't help it.
Oh yeah.
But as soon as he started talking, I had to pause it because like big smile came across my face, and I'm like, I know that voice.
Okay, who's
So
the
I
mysterious
immediately
voice?
jumped over, looked it up. This is, Dorian Harewood, I believe it is, and iconic actor, he has done so many things. Um,
Yes, I know
yeah,
who you're talking
what
about.
I know what I automatically recognize him from, though, is and there's not gonna be a lot of people that have seen this. You might not have even heard this one. Biker Mice from Mars. He played Moto, and that was
No, I'm not. I need to
and
see this.
feel free to Google it. But you know as well as I do. None of us got through the '90s without having some sort of anthropomorphic crush,
Mhm.
and that was mine. It was like a 6'6" tall gray mouse, but with his voice and a bit of a temper.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. I do remember this guy. Was he in Roots? I think he was in
I think
Roots.
he was. He's been in a lot of stuff. He's got an illustrious
Yeah.
career.
Yep, he was. Yes, he was in Roots. Oh my gosh, he's been in a lot of things. He was
So
in
many things.
An American Christmas Carol, which I absolutely love. He was in the
Wouldn't have watched it.
Jesse Owens. Say that again.
Wouldn't have watched it. I keep my Christmas viewings to a minimum.
He was in the Jesse Owens story in 1984, which I remember. I remember that
Mm.
one. And he did a couple other movies, but those are the ones that I definitely remember. Cool, cool. I like that actor a lot. He has got a great voice. And I love the casting that
He
the
was also
the
a
voice.
Martian Man from sorry. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. He
from the
was also
Justice
Martian
League.
Manhunter from the Justice League series,
Ah, nice. Yeah, good
which
one.
makes it even funnier that she's in that thing because it was directly out of Justice League.
Oh man, yeah, this felt like an episode from Justice League actually. It really did. It really had those vibes with the modern, well, not modern, but the technology too. Um, so yeah, we've got these three guys who are just seething. They
Yeah, we
are,
don't really get the one's name.
yeah.
Actually, I don't think we get the girl's name either.
No, we don't get to know their names. We just know that they hate humans.
We
And
know the one with the fire, with the fire head, and that's Helios.
yeah,
And
and yeah, we don't get a bearing on the other ones. And we think that the lady over here is some sort of
she's a
creature,
Gorgon,
Gorgon, yes, a Gorgon, and
clearly inspired by Medusa.
Medusa, yes. That's what I was thinking
Mhm.
immediately. And so yeah, they're looking at each other and they're conspiring for their moment. So as they're walking down the street and trying to find their bearings, these guys like straight up attack them.
Oh yeah, it
It's
starts off
awful.
with Helios going, "Oh, what's that smell? It must be the human. You're a cop.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do this stuff."
It was very, very upsetting, I would say, because the way they kind of went after Elisa was just brutal. And
Mhm.
if the gargoyles weren't there, I'm sure they would have killed her.
Oh,
It was
guaranteed.
just horrible. And then, well, you think that Taurus would have been, he shows up. You would think that, okay, well, he would get to the bottom of everything. No, he just arrests Elisa,
He
and
arrests
then
her.
he's like, he says, "Oh, well, I got rid of the problem," which is really pretty awful. I don't know if they were just trying to say something there, or but it was just kind of one of those moments where you just like, "No, somebody do something." And
Yeah,
the gargoyles were,
the influence behind this was very clear because at that
yeah.
point there was in the southern states it was still an issue.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It just breaks my heart when
Mm.
to see that, and to see the apathy of the Taurus character who seems to be more has more integrity than any of the other characters. He's just really wanting to do a job and a good job at that. And so they lock up Elisa again, but she's in the prison with this guy who is a shapeshifter.
As soon as Taurus walks her in, it, you see like this older, Minotaur going, "How could you lock me in here, son?" He's like, "You locked up your father? That's not my father."
And I thought it was a metaphor, like, or that was like he was just saying that because his father was just a bad person or whatever, and he just doesn't acknowledge him. But no, 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 it really wasn't his father. It
Yeah.
was the changeling,
This guy
and
actually killed his father.
yeah, it actually killed his father, which is horrible. And
But
his name is
yeah, like
Proteus.
Proteus. And Taurus actually says he's not like most new Olympians, which shows that he does have the ability to see not everything is black and white.
Yes, yeah. And it is, kind of interesting because you can see Proteus is thinking, he's like, what's going on here? I see an opportunity to do something pretty awful. And here's the part that really gets me. Okay, so there's a whole situation where Goliath decides to break Elisa out of jail, and he tells Angela and Bronx to wait by the river or
Mhm.
by the water. And so he goes in, breaks into the prison where Proteus is. That's suddenly we see Elisa, and she's like, "Oh, I'm in here. Get follow these instructions to get me out." And somehow he switches places. He gets Goliath to go into the prison, locks him in there, and then he comes out and turns into Goliath. And I think at that point he could have just left, right?
Again, this is one of those things. Well, because he needs the escape factor, that because he knows Lisa has some way of escaping. And again, this is like in mimicking from the previous episode. Goliath just goes over because she's explaining exactly how to unlock this prison gate.
That
How
should
would
have
she
been
know
his
that?
first red flag.
But he's like, okay, first I do it in this exact order. Doesn't stop to go, how do you know this?
Yeah, it's really crazy. Yeah, that should have been his first thing. But Proteus, pretending to be Goliath, tricks Elisa into going with him, and he breaks out of jail.
Neither one of them sound like their voices are a little off when he plays either one of them, and
Yeah,
I don't catch it.
yeah, they don't catch it. I think it was in the heat of the moment. They're willing to believe anything. And Elisa realizes that there's something really odd because it's daylight and he hasn't turned to stone. So she asks him like, why haven't you turned to stone? And he's like, oh,
Took her long enough to realize.
this is a magical island. It must be doing something to me.
Must be
Um,
something about that sparkly fog.
yeah. And then offset on the side, Angela and Bronx have encountered the three wild Olympians that have gone on their own terrorizing mission. They actually turned to stone during the daytime, right in the middle of fighting. So I was very scared that they were gonna do something to them, but they
Yeah,
don't.
it was the two, the centaur cop that they were up against. As when Bronx turns to stone, he's on top of the centaur cop, so the centaur's like push him over. I without a beat. Don't you hurt my puppy?
Yeah, yeah. I was like, they made the whole sound like it was. I was like, no, my precious little. Yeah, I was really concerned.
There was a lot of "Don't you hurt my puppy" this week,
Yeah.
or they hurt my puppy.
Oh, yeah. And so, when Elisa is told that big fib by Proteus, she
She
actually
doesn't
just
believe it.
goes along with it. Yeah, she.
I don't think she believed it,
No, no, no. She
especially
definitely don't believe. She didn't believe it, but she just was like,
she played
okay.
along.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
played.
and for typical villain fashion, he's like, "Okay, you go on ahead. I'm gonna go to that tower exactly right over there, because that's the power core for this whole thing." And he doesn't realize that Goliath shouldn't know this stuff.
Yeah.
But that this tips Elisa off. Like, I'm gonna go blow up the island using that exact building right there.
Yeah, and of course, Elisa knows that Goliath wouldn't do anything like that, and that
Also, he
he's
shouldn't know
already
which exact building to do it and exactly how to do it.
yeah, and of course the daylight. She's got a lot of tip offs, so she knows, and she finds Taurus, and she lures him to Proteus. It is a huge battle that is ensued between Proteus and Taurus and Elisa, and it's really incredible. They saved the island,
Mhm.
which is really the most important thing. And they did rearrest
Yeah, they kinda put like a sticky putty on
Gel.
him.
Yeah, I was like, "What's going on there?" And,
'Cause everybody else gets these fancy, bolero type chains. He gets slimed.
I wonder if and when you talk about possibly a spin-off if they were gonna have Proteus as the bad guy that kept,
Oh, yeah.
come back
This
every week to to destroy the
but
island.
that was part of the fun of cartoons back then.
Yeah.
And going back watching some of it, like, with the adult perspective, it really gave me kind of respect for the villains like Skeletor and
Oh,
Mum-Ra and all
yeah.
of that,
Oh, yeah.
because they were relentless
Oh, yeah.
in their plans to try and beat the spike every week. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But
loved
they
it.
don't give
I
up.
did. I did. I loved it, and, it was, always a lot of fun to have that. Now, when Goliath and the whole clan leaves, Boreas and Taurus discuss that this is the first human that's ever been on the island in the last 2,000 years, and perhaps it won't be their last. And so there's this sort of foreboding that they'll have to prepare for more
Yeah.
humans to come.
And it's the way Boreas says it at the end that makes me suspect that this was intended as a spin-off. The way he says, you know, make the world ready for the new Olympians or something like that. It was something that felt very much a lead off to a new series.
Mm.
I should learn to take notes like you do.
Yeah, I mean, because they do say, and I suppose they would be called the New Olympians, New Olympians, or maybe
Yep.
New Olympus. But it's such a beautiful city, and yes, I mean, it's a whole nother nook of incredible things they could have done with that. There's at least, I would say, 20 to 30 other spin-offs that could have happened. I'm just saying, this is definitely not the only one if
Oh
they
yeah.
wanted to make complete other worlds
I think that
and
was
fully realized.
yeah, no, I think that was part of the idea or something that happened in this process of them doing the trips through with Avalon
Mhm.
is how do we create a spin-off series? And like putting feelers out there.
This is The Green, season 2, episode 38. The previously on for this is the gargoyles turning to stone, and then it shows us the last clip of what might have happened to the pack. And the question is, where's the pack? Well, we get an answer in this episode, at least some of them.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we knew
so,
what happened to Dingo, so
yeah, we knew what happened to Dingo, but we're about to find out what happened to the rest of them. They arrive in a place that's really jungly. We find out later on that it's Guatemala, which is really cool. I'm like, ooh, Guatemala. But the first thing that they notice is that they hear gunshots all over the place. That's not what you want to, you know, hear when you get off of a boat and you're in the middle of Guatemala. So it looks like these lumber guys are actually shooting at another group, which happens to be gargoyles that look a lot different than the ones that we are used to,
well,
but
some of them.
they are
This
in.
one looks fairly, compatible with the Scottish clan, which is what
Yeah, they.
we're noticing that there are different clans from around the world.
Yes, which is just beautiful. I love that. They all over the world, there's just a different um, group of clans of
And
gargoyles, and they have the culture enriched.
it's
Thing.
part of their visual is their culture. Like it
Yeah,
seems that the area itself seems to have it almost. It's like that's where the what we know as the influences or that's where it came from. And with one of this particular clan, it's very obvious. Like this is one of the episodes I truly love throughout this whole Avalon series.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I couldn't agree more. When I saw these guys, I was like, "Ooh." I was definitely a pig. So they are fending off these lumber guys, and they're shooting at them. And so the gargoyles also see that jackal and hyena are there and are causing a little bit of mischief as well. The gargoyles do come in, the ones that we're used to, the Manhattan Clan. They come in and they make a big difference in the battle and chase away Jackal and Hyena. It's a good fight too. And so we have these new gargoyles that we're introduced to, Zephyro and Obsidiana.
Zephyr. Well,
Uh,
he's wearing a sapphire, and she's wearing a piece of obsidian. And there's four of them, and all of their names are a play off of the stone that they wear. Details like that I love. But you can see here, he's a
yes.
Quetzalcoatl, which is a mythological being, a mythological creature in the Central America. Beautiful. He's gorgeous. He's got actual feathery wings. He looks straight up like the Quetzalcoatls. It's
Oh yeah.
gorgeous.
I loved him in particular. He looks so cool. And she is also very
They're all striking.
interesting too. It turns out that our precious Bronx has a scar on him caused
Yeah,
by a
hyena.
hyena, and it looks pretty deep.
She
And
hurts my
so
doggy.
yeah, we don't like that. So Obsidiana wraps it with a healing flower and a leaf to prevent infection, which I thought was really cool. And from there, Goliath is able to gather that this place is very, very important to protect. And so he kind of pledges to help them. He's so funny because everywhere he goes, he attaches himself to like every single issue that they're having. Like, yes, I will join you in protecting.
I will join your cause, and we shall protect the waffles. Um, I actually loved how fast they were to accept Elisa, though. They
Yeah,
had like no hesitation, considering the people like that out there. Oh, from what we've seen, they have like no good interactions with humans,
yeah,
and they're like, she's a friend. Okay, she's a friend of ours
yeah.
too now.
Yeah, it's so funny because she was like, and the human. Like they separated her out, but it was an example of their acceptance because of the fear and
And
uh,
it's like almost in direct contrast with the previous episode
yeah.
as to how accepting they are of her. And I just wanted to highlight that because it's like night and day between the two of them.
And that was actually pretty cool. I love the idea of this healing flower, and that
Like
was
she does say that their rainforest is full of all sorts of wonderful healing plants, but
mhm.
it's disappearing in it. And this whole topic was very big in the 90s. We had a lot
Yes,
of every cartoon show had some variation on it, and there was multiple cartoon shows that were just dedicated to this. I mean, we had Captain Planet, we had a
I love him. Yes,
number of them.
yes, I love Captain Planet.
Fern Gully, that was again 2 movies based on the same this very idea of protecting the forests.
Hmm, hmm. Yeah, I mean, in many ways, it's still a big deal, but it's been overshadowed by
Mm,
climate change and a
I
lot
don't
of
think the 2
other
are not
social
related.
problems. Say that again.
I don't think the 2 are unrelated.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also like social issues and political stuff, something that we're more interested in today. But yeah, at that
Yeah,
point in the 90s, that was a big issue was the rainforest. And
social issues and political stuff was then too, clearly, because the previous episode would have been a
oh,
great, highlight of the social issues,
hmm, hmm.
which was again a reflection of some things that happened.
These guys wear pendants that's from turning to stone during the day. And unfortunately, as they are explaining all of this, Jackal and Hyena are listening to it all. So it's like, oh no, these guys are gonna get intel that they really shouldn't know. And Jackal is actually hatching a plan. And you know what I'm like noticing is that Jackal is really taken over, and this is his second time really posing a threat to the gargoyles. It was like, what's going on with him? So Jackal goes back to their place, sort of like their hotel lodging place, and there's a computer that he is using to locate a thing called the sun amulet. It's also called the golden amulet that he overheard the gargoyles talking about. The golden amulet will stop the pendant from working if it is destroyed. He's hoping to do so. He sends Hyena to New York to do just that. And meanwhile, the clan goes to the pyramids, and then they meet the other gargoyles just before they turn to stone. During the day, Elisa goes out with Zephyro to see what's going on, to get a feel of what's happening in this area. And while she's out there, well, she's noticing that Zephyro is kind of like...
Yeah, they're not just chasing off the people who are trying to clear cut the forest.
Yeah.
They're chasing off local farmers that need some of the wood to survive.
Yeah, yeah. She's thinking like, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. Maybe there could be some sort of compromise. But Zephyro is very, very intent. He says that there's no such thing as a few trees, which he's kind of right, because if they take a couple of trees, then there could be more. So, but if there was sort of a talk of, or a compromise between the two, then maybe it wouldn't be like they can take some wood to take care of themselves, and promise not to use it as a business where they, chop down all the trees. There needs to be some sort of intermediate intervention, if you will, two sides that don't see eye to eye. But all the while in New York, we have the the golden amulet, and Hyena is breaking into the museum. But we got our boys looking on. I was like, Manhattan Clan is in the house. They're stepping up. We've got Lexington and Broadway on duty, and they come in to stop Hyena. Now, Hyena,
I don't know how Broadway fit through that hole.
Oh yeah. That was fun. I knew that was going to happen, though. I was like, wait a minute, how's he going to fit in there? Oh, I knew that. I knew that. So that they kind of play this thing where they kind of bounce back and forth to the different scenes between New York and
Guatemala.
So I thought that was great. I love the fact that we're doing this sort of hopping around to different places, and they somehow figured out how to incorporate the New York boys in this. So I loved it. It turns out that Mr. Vogel is behind all of this for Renard, who is too sick to actually oversee this whole operation. And Vogel actually hired Jackal and Hyena to put an end to the vandals who are hindering his operations. Now, one thing he says is that the methods to how they're doing this is not his concern, although he knows that Renard would not approve. And that was something I was like, okay, because when I saw him, I was like, oh no, Renard is crazy. Is he gone back on his word again? Is he now forgotten about his friendship with Goliath? But no, this is kind of behind his back. Mr. Vogel is just trying to do a job. He doesn't care about the means, as he says. At this point, okay, this is the greatest point. I'm not going to skip past this. Jackal has this incredible plan he's hatching up, and there's like a fantasy moment that you see play out where he is dreaming of smashing all of the stone gargoyles during the day. So,
Mhm.
and it's really great. What did you think of this part here?
The fact that in that dream he recarves Goliath's face to look like his
Yes.
is pure jackal.
Yeah, absolutely. Incredible. It speaks a lot of his character, and my other thought is, what if he did that? What would that when he came to would he come back to life, or would he
Probably not.
no.
We've I'm going with probably not because it seems any alteration seems to, you know, seems to prevent them from coming back. I don't
Mhm.
know if
Yeah.
it's like you just take the arm off or something, if they would wake up without the arm, or if that just permanently, like, what's the level of destruction that they can
Oh.
handle?
Right, right, right. Because if, like, say, they got nicked just a little bit.
Mhm. Which literally was part of my concern when we see the centaur flipping over Bronx, and I'm like, "Did you
Yeah.
ship him?"
Yeah, don't you dare touch him.
Gentle with him, put him in bubble wrap.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I thought that was all really awesome. I love that little detail of and character addition that they didn't have to put in, but they did. At nightfall, the gargoyles wake up. They're gonna go out to protect the forest, but Elisa says that she can't go out with them because she's wondering, like, who actually owns the land, and do they have the right to be here? She doesn't believe that it's absolutely important for them to protect the forest if it doesn't belong to them.
She is looking at it from the cop perspective and
Mhm.
where the
Legally.
gargoyles, yeah, the legally aspect.
Yeah, yeah,
And while the gargoyles, like, this is their home. This is so we
yeah,
know gargoyles have to protect their home.
yeah. It's kind of the one moment where you get Goliath kinda looks back at Elisa like, what's like,
He
"What?"
but it seems like he doesn't agree with her
Mhm.
stance.
Yeah.
He respects it in the
Mhm.
same aspect. She's like, I
Yeah.
can't join this. I can't be a I can't, you know, yes, I see you. The world sees you. He's like, I can't be a part of this. And they're like, okay, so you can just hang out at the step pyramid with us. Keep an eye on this place.
Yeah, and I thought that was cool because she still ends up being part of
Hmm.
the whole thing anyway. Yeah, I thought that was very interesting that they had that moment of disagreement, but also like you said, there was that respect. So
Yeah.
there is a full-on shootout with the lumbers trying to protect what they what they believe is theirs and their right, and the gargoyles trying to intercept that, and they do. But then, so meanwhile, we get to New York City, and the boys, Lexington and Broadway, are fighting Hyena. It's a pretty spectacular fight. It's really funny because in the middle of the fight, Hyena says, "I see your mama never taught you to take a hint," and Broadway says, "You leave her mama's office." He's so cute.
But they come in just as she's about to shoot the amulet, and Broadway's the one that picks up the spear and throws it at her
Yeah.
to stop her from destroying this.
Mhm.
And then once they actually get the amulet and they do this whole, like, football, like, they're throwing it at each other type
Yes.
thing. I don't really watch football, but I know enough of it to know that that was football.
Yeah.
But once they finally, knock out Hyena, what the picture we see right here, Broadway's like, "Well, maybe we should destroy it," because she says, "Gargoyles will die."
Yeah.
Do you not remember, like, 5 minutes ago, you were stopping her from destroying this because she wanted to destroy it?
Yeah, it's really an interesting moment because they don't know what to do with it, and Luckily, they don't do anything to it, but it was still one of those moments where the show like leaves you in suspense. Like you're like, okay, I hope they don't destroy it.
Hmm.
Because if they, and so that was, I thought that was an interesting moment, but it was also, like you said, there was evidence to prove that, hey, you shouldn't watch, you shouldn't do anything. But I noticed that sometimes they do come to those kinds of conclusions. They're like, well, don't you remember this? They actually talk it out. And I think this time they didn't talk it out with the audience. They usually do, but this time they didn't.
I think it was just to keep the audience in suspense, especially with what happens like
Mhm.
following up. But I gotta
Yeah,
say, that sun sculpture, gorgeous.
isn't it? It's really cool. I hope somebody makes something like that. And so the next thing is basically Jackal. He has an incredible plan in his mind, and he executes this plan, and it is so good. I mean, he really has them on the run. He has all the gargoyles on the run, and what his plan
He's
is
cutting a
to.
path through the rainforest. I mean, he is a one-man wrecking crew.
Oh yeah, he's I was like,
Like, I
what?
hate to say it, he could sell him. He could make a legit job doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was really saying, wow, Jackal is a real piece of work in this. So he
Mhm.
actually has a plan. His plan was to lead them back to the pyramid. He creates a fire to distract them enough so that they are busy putting out the fires until morning. And once it's morning time, he's hoping that his sister has destroyed the amulet and everyone is turned to stone. Well, it kind of looks like everybody turns to stone, except for the fact that it looks
Well,
like
at least
one or two of them had lost their pendants.
just the one, Obsidiana had lost her pendant. They linger on it long enough for you to catch it,
Hmm.
but not long enough that it's like terribly obvious.
Yeah,
Because we do see Bronx sniffing at it, but we don't see him actually. Like, it turns out he does pick it up.
yeah.
You know, hi, yes.
You got a kitty cat there.
He loves being on camera, and you are a bottomless pit of affection.
Aw. And actually, it works to a certain degree, but there are still a few gargoyles that are not stone, and they actually defeat Jackal. And I thought this was really cute.
Hmm.
The New York gang drops off Hyena at the precinct, while Broadway still is holding on to
Amulet.
the golden amulet. It's really quite a nice scene. I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed the fact that they involved the Manhattan crew as well in New York. So that was really a nice treat. I hope these guys get to go home soon. It's been a long trip for them.
They do good. I think that's next week that we finally get to see them going home.
Good. Oh, good. So then we have Sentinel, which, depending on where you're getting, you're watching this, this is probably a different number, but this was episode number 39 and on Disney Plus. Sentinel, it shows when Elisa met Goliath and Elisa and Matt getting on board a ship. There's a couple on that ship.
Yeah, that was the Scrolls of Merlin, I think it was.
Yes, yes, yes. The
Hmm.
Scrolls of Merlin. It's so cute the way this starts off. They wake up and they see that Elisa has finally gotten sleep, because she hardly sleeps during the day and night. But this is the one time she was she was
And
asleep.
that's the thing I can't help but wonder, like, over and over again throughout this whole journey,
Mhm,
because if they're on the boat during the daylight, she has to stay awake to make sure they don't tip over or anything like that.
mhm.
But at nighttime, they're all running around with her. Like, she's
Yeah.
running around with them. Woman doesn't sleep.
No, she does not.
I'm a chronic insomniac, and she sleeps less than me.
Yeah, she. Yeah, me too. I do have the same problem, but yeah,
Mhm.
she doesn't sleep, and I guess she was catching up with it. But they get to Easter Island is where they arrived, and somebody's monitoring them as they're there.
You see, like,
Elise,
little things popping out of the ground, it's
yeah, it's kind of strange. They don't show us what it is, but we see that, we know it's happening. And they leave Elisa to sleep, and Bronx is guarding her. But someone knocks out Bronx and takes Elisa, and Elisa shows up again, just wandering around. She's,
clearly dazed,
yeah,
you know?
completely out of it. She is found by archaeologists, the same ones that were on the boat, and they recognize her, but she doesn't know who she is. This mystery person that is watching them has captured Angela and Bronx. But Goliath, he doesn't capture Goliath because Goliath was following Elisa and the couple that found her. Yeah, yeah. Okay, and so they established that the couple had met her before when they found the scrolls of Merlin, and Elisa says that she doesn't remember, she doesn't know her name, she doesn't know anything. So her memory, it was completely
Not
wiped.
not completely, 'cause she und like, and the doctor that checks her out,
Mhm.
like, he's asking her things, and she's like, "Well, obviously, I know what that is." It's
Yeah.
like, "Well, that does show that, you do retain some of your memories, but
Mhm.
you're blocking out something traumatic that
Yeah.
happened to you."
There's a lot that she doesn't remember, but she can at least, like, carry on, like, a conversation at least, and, decides that he's gonna go in and get her, but, he does face a lot of pushback.
Well,
She does not remember him at all, and she actually pulls out a gun on him, and I'm
thankfully,
like,
it's
"Oh
out of
my god."
bullets.
Yeah. And it's really quite crazy because he's just like, he's really frustrated, and I was just wondering if he should have done this, but he grabs her and takes her out of there.
He pulls her in with his wing, that was actually kinda cute. But I love that they're in the like, she's like, "Let me go," and he's like, You're gonna regret saying that in a second." But
Yeah.
they're while they're flying, he's like, "I can't believe you pulled a gun on me. You actually shot at me."
Yeah, it was hurt. And, yeah, it was really, quite shocking because the whole time I was screaming, I was like, "No, Elisa, you know him." It's really, interesting how you can get so wrapped up into these characters and, wanting to try to protect them and try to help them out. But this is, definitely one of those moments where I was like, he didn't really have a choice. But also, I was wondering if he should have pulled her out of there because she definitely didn't want to go, and that couple was very scared for her. The mystery being has Angela and Bronx and wants to use them to get to Goliath. He thinks that they are a space spawn and some
Thinks
part
they're
of an
aliens.
alien group, and that's really quite interesting. I was like, oh, why would somebody think that? I mean, and gargoyles are still kind of part of human history. I think everybody knows about gargoyles. Why wouldn't you think that they were at least monsters that we knew from myth? But he seems to think that they're aliens. He's actually an alien himself, and he
Mhm.
uses a hologram of Angela to trick and trap Goliath. Elisa is trying to figure out who he is and what's going on, but he's like, "Oh, I erased your memory. Hope you don't mind." And
She initially runs away from Goliath and then stops when she hears him calling out for Angela. Like,
yeah,
you can hear that she hears that, this other gargoyle is in danger, so she stops and turns around, she's like, I can't believe I'm doing this."
Yes, yes. So she there's something going on with her where she has a sense or an idea that there must be something going on, but she doesn't have any memories of that at all. So her instincts are to trust Goliath, but she doesn't completely trust them. But she like saves him quite a few times. This creature's name is
Okay.
Nokar. He erased Elisa's memory because he believed that she was brainwashed by the gargoyles he calls aliens. He erased or neutralized her brainwashing. Nokar is part of the Galactic War and is a survivor. When Goliath wakes up, Angela tells him that Nokar is an alien protecting Earth from an army of interstellar invaders. Earth is their outpost, and Nokar is their sentinel. And he was sent there centuries ago. So it's not even certain whether the war is still going on. So,
Yeah, for how long he's been there, it's really unclear because he does say the original inhabitants of Rapa Nui, which is what Easter Island's known by the locals,
mhm,
they created the statues out of respect for him.
yeah. So they knew him, and that was actually kind of a cool little detail that they added. So sort of like folding in a bit of history with it. And to this day, I think we don't know where those statues came from in real
We don't
life.
know
So
we don't know how old they are or anything.
yeah, so it's kind of works out just perfectly for this story. And Elisa actually stops Nokar from killing the gargoyles several times. I mean, he's just hell bent on killing them. They have to die. He's just so
Mhm.
crazy about it. And Elisa stops him from killing them. There's something about them that she feels pulled towards, even though her memories have not been fully restored. Nokar decides that he is going to stop attacking them. And he stops the attack, and then we are to assume that the scientists or archaeologists
Mhm.
arriving at the scene will work with him to protect the earth. Because so he just kind of suddenly realizes, okay,
Well, he says to her, because when they get back up on land out of the ship, they're like, "Okay, well, let's just get to the skiff and get out of here." And she's like, "What's a skiff?" Like, "You don't have your memories back. Why did you save us then?" And that's when Nokar comes out and he's like, "I'm gonna kill everybody." Rawr. And she steps in front of this gun,
yeah,
going, "I can't let you do that. I can't let you kill them." And he's like, "You don't even have memories of them. You're
yeah,
saying you trust your instincts enough to protect these people." And she's like, "I know, I do. I know these people are my friends." Then he's
yeah.
like, "That leaves me with no choice." And it hesitates for a moment, long enough that you're like,
Uh-oh.
"Ah, crud." And then he just powers the gun down. So you trust your instincts, so do I.
Yeah, it
Why
was
does
really
that stuff
nice.
never happen in real life, you know?
Oh gosh, yes. Somebody save me. Yes, that is was such a great moment because it's like, oh my God, how they get it's so interesting too. This happens at the very last moment.
Mhm.
It looks like they are doomed, and this character is not a bad guy. He's just
He's
carrying
been
out,
alone too long.
yeah, and he's trying to carry out these archaic procedures. Now, look, there could still be a threat, there
Mhm.
could be an attack coming, but he has to handle this a lot better than any stranger, any weird looking creature is gonna tick him off like this. He has to figure out at least, is there some communication he can figure out about this war so he can be informed about exactly who's coming and what, because he's out in the dark. And
Mhm.
again, we all are kind of confused as to, hey, maybe his war is actually over and he doesn't even know it. So yeah, that is really quite interesting. But if he is here to protect Earth, this is great. And
Mhm.
it almost feels like they could have put all of these characters together, all of these sort of heroes from all of these different places, and have sort of like a huge uh you know gathering of people, or Justice League or something like that, to protect the entire planet. It's just kind of wonderful. They get back on the skiff. Lisa still doesn't have her memories. She still doesn't have her memories.
No card does say it would take a couple days for the thing to wear off,
Yeah.
for the mental deprogramming, whatever, to wear off, and yeah. So it will come back,
Hmm.
but he trusts her instincts enough because it only gets rid of false memories,
Real ones.
not real ones.
Yeah.
So
And
it means
that was,
it will come back.
yeah. So he said that within a couple of days. So
Mhm.
hopefully, by the next episode, she will be cured. But it was very interesting that she hadn't gotten all of her memories yet, but the instincts were so strong that she was willing to not only just save their lives, but also now she's on a boat. I mean, they could have waited a couple of days until she got her memory back before they get on the boat again. They were just already in the boat, ready to. Also, she's protecting them. She's protecting them too.
Yeah.
So it was very lovely in that way. I walked away from this with feeling very, sweet feelings. I was like, oh, that's really nice.
Mhm.
And that is it. And we've got homework for next week, with 14. Season 2, episode 40, which is Bushido. But then, yes, we have episode 41, Cloud Fathers, and 42, Ill Met by Moonlight. So,
Yeah, so
um,
we might not get back next week.
next week, but we have only 3, and then the next one are 3. I think that's when we get to the gathering,
Mhm.
which is really going to be the one that you were mentioning. I haven't taken a peek, even though I was tempted.
I'm so happy because so many things. Trying not to spoil.
Okay. Oh man, yep, that is it. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, yes, everyone, do prepare for next week's homework, and we will see you again. Well, take care, guys.
Later.
That was so good, guys. I was laughing the whole time, and it was great. I hope that you had as much fun as I did watching that recording. And before I go, I wanted to thank Unicorn Rampant Studio. Thank you so very much for the $25 super chat that you gave, and also the 5 Retro Nerd Girl channel memberships that you also gave as well. And let's see if I can find the names here. We got Rick Manalis, Chef Nation, um, Lorena Creole got one. Damaj and I got one. Mr. Q got one, who was in the chat earlier. So that's awesome. And for all of those who got a gifted membership, it lasts for 30 days. And then after that point, if you're still interested in keeping your membership, then you'll have to sign up for it. But otherwise, this is just a wonderful gift by our good friend Unicorn Rampant Studio, who has really been with the channel for such a long time, and especially with the live streams. I mean, he was at the first live stream, which is really awesome. Um, and yes, he's getting busier and busier and busier, but every time he stops by, it's always a huge pleasure. So thank you so very much. And here's a little thank you specifically for Unicorn Rampant Studio. Yes. Oh, it's so nice to look at that one again. It's been a while since I was able to shoot it, but, let's see. Um, yeah, so next week, the homework is it's gonna be week 14, and, it's gonna be episode 40, 41, 42. It's gonna be fantastic. I've already took a preview of that week's video, and it looks fantastic. Just laughs all the way through. So I hope that you guys will enjoy that. I just wanted to also let you guys know that if you are a member and you didn't see a video, you are definitely getting a video this week. So hold on to your horses. It's just been so crazy. I didn't expect the video on Sunday to go as long as it did, and we went on for 6 hours talking about the Hero's Labyrinth, and it was fantastic. I can't speak enough of that. If you haven't seen that video, go back, go through my live streams and check that out. It's really great and informative about if you are very, very familiar with the hero's journey. Well, this is the feminine version. It's called The Heron's Labyrinth, and the author Douglas A. Burton went through a significant amount of time with me to talk about it, and it's just it's fantastic. And we talk about why it works in movies and stories, and why some characters don't aren't working for a lot of us. But if they had employed the Hero's Labyrinth, it would have worked. Just pulling out like different archetypes that would help them. So check that out. It's very cool. I love it. Love it. I love our talks together, and I'm gonna see if I can get him back on the channel where we've already done also a watch party for Amadeus, and he's going to come back to do War of the Worlds with us, but it's going to be later on, I believe the last Saturday in uh, June. So look out for that. However, this Saturday coming up, we're going to be watching The Hobbit 1977. It's going to be amazing, guys. Oh my God, I cannot wait for that. I have to like prepare the video and all that stuff. And it's like going back in time feels like I'm taking a DeLorean and we're just going back to my childhood there. And also, the next movie that we're going to be watching for our watch party is going to be Back to School. So yeah, that's gonna be an interesting another comedy, because comedies are so great. And keep your schedules clear for the 16th of June. I'm going to be celebrating my 8-year anniversary celebration, and it's also going to be my 200th live stream episode. So mark all that stuff down on your calendars. It's going to be amazingly a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And let's see some last comments on here. Let's see. Um, Moonbeam says, "Ill met by moonlight, back to Avalon. Ill met by moonlight, Tatiana, yeah, or Titania, yes, Titania, Queen Titania." Some of you may not know what that is if you haven't seen it yet, but if you have, it's gonna be great. And let's see. And Gary Carpenter says, "I'll be seeing you in all of the familiar places." Oh, that's so nice. And it says, "Good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are." That's I want a nice little callback. um, and yes, let's see, keep going. Um, And Gary Carpenter says, "Unicorn, have you seen the cartoon movie Last Unicorn with Mia Farrow?" Yes, I did, and I did a extended review. It's like one of my favorite reviews that I've done on the channel. Definitely. Let's see, and let's see. I think you guys can hear me now because I was mute for a short moment, but then I was back. Yeah, I I hope so. Let's see. And Moonbeam says, "I saw a few archetypes in gargoyles." Yes, there's a lot. There's a lot, and it's just wonderful. And Moonbeam also says, "I love The Hobbit." Let's see. And Mama Bear says, "Yay!" Yes. And Gary Carpenter says The Hobbit was an all-star cast, especially Casey Kasem. Yeah, what a surprise! What a surprise! But it was so wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. And Amy Jo, thank you so much. Says it was so fun. It was fun to see you again, Retro Nerd Girl. My pleasure to be here, and it was really great to see you in the chat too. You've got so much energy, and I love seeing you there. And Mama Bear says, "Yeah, you're you're good now. You caught it quickly." Yes, thank goodness. I was like, "Wait a minute, wait a minute. Something felt wrong. I'm learning. I'm learning, guys. I'm learning." And Moonbeam says The Last Unicorn 1982 is an awesome film. It is. It really is. Well, guys, I'm gonna get going because I do have to do two more recordings, and one of them is for the members. I don't want to let anybody down this week, so I want to get that done for the members, and I also have to go Betty bye soon. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here with me. And without further ado, I bid you adieu, and I will see you in the next one of these. All right, take care.
Retro Nerd Girl, you are clear for takeoff.